3.5 million years ago, the human animal stopped swinging in trees and started walking on the ground. Each human brought down with them their own unique way of communicating, their own unique manner in which they display emotion, and their own conflicts and ego. With 8 billion of these human beings walking around the same earth, you may have a strong, compelling urge to run back up into the safety of the trees. But don't. Instead, learn. Learn how to live among the humans.
All right, let's talk about listening. It's pretty funny because if this was our classroom, I would start off by saying to you guys, give me some examples of good listening. What are some of the elements of a good listener? And the first one I always get is make eye contact. Uh, Make eye contact. Don't interrupt. Stay focused. Ask questions. Okay. Um, yeah, that's not good listening. That's just listening. What do you mean eye contact makes a good listener? So in the middle of you telling me a story, I'm sitting there going, and I'm on my phone. No, making eye contact is just one of the things that are expected for listening, not good listening. Not interrupting. That's one of my biggest problems, by the way. Not interrupting. That's not good listening. That's just, I don't know, courtesy, manners. So, a lot of things that you guys have learned, good listening. Oh, man. When I taught high school a few times, but mostly I taught college courses to high schoolers. And when I was teaching it, I would listen to the sophomores, the teacher that taught the sophomores. And every time people were talking, she'd go, active listening, active listening. You know what? You've been taught active listening. If you don't know it by now, I know you've been taught active listening because that's all I hear the teachers in high school say, active listening. Well, I'm very uncomfortable. Active listening, active listening. So I'm going to teach you listening in my own way. So it comes from the textbook. The four types of listening come from the textbook, but the other one, and I'm going to give you a story because the textbook doesn't say that if you listen the wrong way, it could ruin your relationship. That's what I'm about. By the way, chapter 9, we start relationships. You guys are going to love it. But your book doesn't tell you that good listening and learning how to do it can make a huge relationship real good. It could start a relationship. It could end a relationship. Listening is a pretty big thing. You always hear, I don't know, I grew up at a different time than you guys, but whenever there was a sitcom or something, and the marriage counselor would say, what's the problem? What would the woman always say? He doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. So maybe she's the one who, maybe he is, or she is, if you want to reverse it. Maybe he is listening, but she's not listening to his responses to what she's saying, blah, blah, blah. So, oh boy, my screen will go off at a certain time. Oh, there we go. All right, so we could see just do that thing. They don't listen. That's got to be said in every marriage counselor's office. The other person doesn't listen. So you can see right from there what I say is true. But I'm also going to teach you how to impress the heck out of people through listening. I've got a great story. I've got two stories for both. So bear with me. Have a good time. But this is going to be very knowledgeable stuff. But first, let's talk about the four types of listening. And we're going to get into that. And we'll see. I'm going to definitely keep this video under 1 hour. And then I'm going to talk about the four types of listening. Then I'm going to talk about how to impress people through good listening, which is actually manipulation. And then, if there's time, I'm going to look over the PowerPoint and see if there's anything interesting. There's great stuff. The barriers to listening, why we don't listen like we should, stuff like that. So, but first, let's get into the four types of listening. If you are the type of student that is like me, this is the time to put me on pause. No, I'm not going to pause. I'm not pausing for anything because I still don't have this pause thing right. I actually do now. Um, but now is the time to pause. Get yourself a piece of paper or a keyboard, whatever you want to do, because I will give you the four types of listening. Though it is on your supplementary, no, not supplementary material, on your text tab for modules. All right, four types of listening. I'm going to give you the story first. Because if I give you the knowledge first, you won't see where there could be a problem. So I'm going to give you what the problem in my household was with me and Sheila over listening, and how once I learned these four types of listening, now I can handle it and she can handle it a little better. So I'm going to explain the story first. Things have changed a little bit because I'm working at home, but this is normally how it happened for years. I'm I I would get out of work. I don't know, 3 o'clock. I get home 3:30. Say hello to Sheila. What's new? I change my clothes. We talk. She tells me stuff that happened. I play with the cats a little bit, and we're just kind of piddling around. By about 4:30, we've already said everything we need to say to one another. There's really not much more going on in our life. So she's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing in the apartment, and I'm a news junkie. I just love the news. I eat up the news, and I watch. I get the Daily News and the Post, and I watch Fox News and CNN. So I'm very well balanced. That's why I watch a lot of news. I don't want to just watch one. Remember selective impressions and perception and all that. Being attracted to things that just don't agree or that agree with what you believe. I like to see things that I don't believe in. I want to know the opposition. So I'm a huge news junkie. I wanted both sides, and somehow I get this. Trump did this, and it was good. Trump did this, and it was bad. But it was the same thing he did. So I'd like to read the entire story to make an opinion. So at 5 o'clock, the news comes on, at least the news I watch. And when I'm working, I only watch news for about an hour. But that 5 o'clock news is the news I watch. At 4:30, like I said, me and Sheila have said all we could say to one another. Uh, it's pretty much quiet. I'm checking out my Facebook, maybe checking my email. She's doing the same thing in another room. 5 o'clock, boom! I put on the news. 6 people shot in Brownsville, Brooklyn today. 13 people drowned on the Staten Island ferry. Hey, Mark, do you know what Gina did today? What? The news is on at 5 o'clock, and as soon as the news came out, Sheila came out of the bedroom. While 13 people have drowned on the Staten Island ferry, and the next story is about, I don't know, a fire a block away from our house. And another news, a fire. Yeah, Gina did that. What are you doing to me, man? You haven't talked in 30 minutes. And the second I turn on the news, you come out of nowhere and start talking. I can't listen to you, and I can't listen to the news. Uh, I can't listen to you and listen to Maurice Dubois. Maurice Dubois is the anchor for Channel 2 5 o'clock news. I'm trying to listen to Maurice, not to you. Well, you could imagine this might have caused trouble. This is how we grow, guys. This is great. Listen. So Sheila will come out, 13, 6 people shot in Brownsville, Brooklyn. On the Staten Island ferry, 13 people drowned. Mark, do you know what Gina did? I go, Sheila, what are you doing? I'm listening to Maurice Dubois. You do this every time. And then Sheila's like, oh, okay, you know what? Watch. Good. She'll go in the other room. Because I kind of was snippy, so she was snippy back. So at 5:14, the commercial comes on. And I go into the room Sheila's in. I'm like, so what did Gina do? You know what Sheila says to me? Why don't you ask Maurice Dubois? Maybe it'll be on the news what Gina did. Um, wow. Yeah, but Sheila, I was watching the, you know what? Okay, I got it. You're watching the news. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-mm-mm. All right, let's think about this. When I used to go over to her parents' house, and when I go over to her parents are deceased. When I go over to her parents' house where her sister now lives with her husband, guess what's always on? The TV. The TV is always on. It's background noise. So it's like having music on. Though some people turn on music. When I turn on music, I want to hear the song. I'm listening to the song. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to, especially classical music. You can hear, classical music's great because there's like 32 instruments, and while you listen, you could just pick up maybe on the flute player and follow that flute player alone. That takes listening. But for the most part, the TV was background noise to them. They were listening to the TV as background noise, as filler, as enjoyment. So I watch the news to learn. I want to watch the news so I can learn, so I can be informed. So when I make videos like this or I talk in a real classroom, I know what somebody talks about. They say, hey, Professor, what do you think about the debate? I'm a professor. What am I going to do? Say, what debate? Decaf coffee or regular coffee? I got to know what I'm talking about. Now, it's not Sheila's fault. Sheila's an angel. Sheila's an angel who fell to earth. She's not, I used to think, what is she doing? Messing with me? The second the TV went on. Mm, no, it's just that she doesn't know I'm listening to learn. First type of listening. So if you're writing notes, there's 4 types of listening. The first one is comprehensive. Comprehensive listening. That is when you listen to learn. When you listen to learn. This is why I don't teach at some schools, such as NYU. You guys grew up in New York City. Most of you are not rich. Most of you are not privileged. Most of you, possibly like, not most of you, but many of you, like me, come from a single parent home. My mom left when I was 11. So um, it's, we, you guys come to BMCC knowing you don't know stuff. You know that. Hopefully, nobody told you you were special or you were privileged or you were better than others. So when you come to school, you know what you know and you know what you don't know. You know you took a communication course. You don't know anything about communication. So you know what? You come into my class, you keep your mouth shut. No, you be quiet and you let me talk. And as I'm talking, I look at you guys and I see you're listening to me to learn. To learn. Students who go to privileged schools, such as NYU, where they pay $65,000, $70,000 for the education a year. Uh, those students who are paying $70,000 a year, when their parents send them off to school, they tell them, listen, don't take any garbage from any professor. If any professor offends you, if they say anything that you think is wrong, don't take any garbage from them. So, and I've had a few of these students. The second I walk in and I start talking, and I might say, you know what, the sun came up at 6 a.m. this morning, Somebody puts up their hand. Yes. It came up 6 a.m. here in New York. But if you were in California or if you were in Japan or possibly Africa, the sun didn't come up at 6 a.m. How am I going to teach like that, man? You just, you know what? You came, sat down, and for some reason you judged me or something happened and you were listening to try to catch me in a mistake. That's what you did. Oh, I make tons of mistakes. But I can't freely teach the way I teach if I'm going to be questioned on anything. Yes, I know that the sun doesn't come up at 6 a.m. in Japan as it does in New York City. I don't need you to tell me that. Um, Easy, Mark. So the second type, the first type was comprehensive. The second type is critical listening. When you listen to make a judgment. So comprehensive listening is when you listen to learn, and critical listening is when you listen to judge. Now, when I watch the news, it's a little bit of both. I listen to learn, and then I judge with the information I have. I judge things. Uh, if somebody shoots somebody, I learned about the shooting, and then I have to judge and listen to the other people to see if it was a justified shooting or if it wasn't. So, but something like when I watch National Geographic, boom, and I turn it on and I see, I don't know, I got animals all over. Oh, I took down my calendar. I don't know. I see the great albino tiger in India. I'm I'm listening to it to learn. I'm not judging. Well, the albino tiger is it really an albino, or if you were colorblind, when it just no. I'm listening to learn. So once, oh, let me get to the next one, and the next one is appreciation. I'm sorry. Let's say so we have comprehensive, critical. Let's say the other one is for enjoyment. So when you listen for enjoyment, when you listen to have fun, to be amused. Sometimes I can watch it. Say I watch Seinfeld a million times. I'm not really watching Seinfeld at this point, so I can learn or judge. It's been on since 1992. I watch it now in that background noise. So when I put Seinfeld on, which may be quite confusing, when I put Seinfeld on, my girlfriend can talk and not bug me. In my mind, she can talk whenever the hell she wants, but she can talk and it doesn't upset me because I'm listening to Seinfeld for enjoyment. But when the news comes on, I'm listening for comprehensive. So all I simply have to do, instead of going, Sheila, what is wrong with you? I'm trying to listen to the news. I simply say, I understand that she thinks I'm watching the news possibly in the same way I watch Seinfeld. I'm not expecting her to be a mind reader. She can't read my mind. I have to explain this stuff the right way. So I simply would say, oh, Sheila, hang on, let me just catch this. Okay, she's cool with it. I mean, because I just, hang on, I want to hear that. Let me just catch this. This is pretty cool. Listen, listen. So that's how relationships can kind of go crazy. Oh, I got another big long story too. Oh, you guys are getting three long stories. Uh, but I guess after I give you the last one, empathy, you don't have to listen to the story because that's the example. But anyways, that's how I fix it. All right, so we have comprehensive listening when you listen to learn. You have you have critical when you listen to judge. You have enjoyment when you listen to have fun or be amused. And the last one, empathy. This is good advice, guys. I'm about to give you. I forgot about this. What I have, I had three stories. One about me and Sheila with the TV. Then I've got this empathy story, and then I've got the professor story. All right, here's the empathy story. Empathy. This is when you listen to show you care. When you listen to show you care. This is where people go wrong. Um, I very few times will I ever do this, but let's say I've seen many do it. I only share my office with two. I mean, with only one other professor, but sometimes there are other offices with three, and I used to share them with three professors. So it's pretty wild because I've seen this mainly. I don't think I've ever brought up a student's business in the office, but I've seen other professors do it. But the one professor, I'm going to say I would do. I'll come in, I'll go, oh my God, this one student, he just won't shut up. Uh, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do with this guy. And then the other teacher will go, you know what I do? What I do is when a student talks, I ask, who asked you? I didn't ask you. I didn't ask for any advice. You know what? I was talking to you, but I wanted you to listen empathetically. I wanted you to listen. I wasn't asking you to listen critically. I didn't ask you to judge it. I didn't ask for advice. I didn't ask for any of that. I'm just spouting off steam for Christ's sake. But here I am. Well, you know what I would, you know what? I know what to do. Geez, I'm just blowing off some steam. I wonder why my colleagues don't like me. No, it's just, this is how we do. If this were a classroom, I would say to you guys, what would you tell somebody whose spouse, not spouse, whose girlfriend or boyfriend just cheated on them? What would you tell them? And all the hands go up. I get answers such as, uh, "There's other fish in the sea." "Oh, you were too good for him, anyways. You'll find someone else." And we do that. The person's crying, and you're going, "You'll find somebody else. It'll be okay." You know what? That person does not want to hear it. Have you ever, while somebody's crying, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe they cheated on me"? Have you ever said, "You know what? There's other fish in the sea," and they went, "You're right." No, shut up. Shut up. Nobody, they didn't go, "What should I do?" They didn't ask you. They didn't ask you. And there's always that one person. You could say anything. "Well, you know what I would do." I didn't ask you. I just thought maybe as a friend you would listen. I know there's other fish in the sea. I know things will get better. I've read romantic novels, but you know what? I wanted this fish. I didn't want the other fish in the sea. I wanted this fish. All right, easy one. All right, let me tell you how important listening is and how messed up we are on this. You've already heard me say Sheila's an angel. We've been together 30 years. We've been engaged for 27 years. She has been with me through everything. But there was one time that I pulled out a bag and started putting things into the bag to leave. Didn't know where I was going, but I'm out. I feel she either didn't love me or didn't understand me or didn't believe me. And it was all because she didn't do empathetic listening. And that's okay. It sounds like I'm blaming her. Um, I don't know if I could have done anything. I've never really thought about it. Now that I know about empathetic listening and what people do, almost nobody does it right. The only person who I ever heard do it right, they asked Frank Sinatra once. They said, "What do you do when a woman cries? What do you say to her?" He says, "I don't say anything. I cry with her." So, yeah, that's empathetic listening. All right, here's a heavy duty story, but I'm not going to make it as heavy duty as I normally do. But why? And Sheila didn't do anything wrong. So why was I, and this is about 15 years into our whatever relationship. So why would I be ready to leave a woman that's seen me through so much? Well, this is what happened. I've done quite a lot of things in my life, work wise. I've done everything from sell used cars to deliver chicken, uh, you name it. I've done it. Well, no, but I've done a lot of weird stuff. But I worked myself up from a dishwasher. When I left home at 17, I only had $600 in my pocket. So I went. I'm sorry, at 17. I thought I said 16. I went to Jacksonville, Florida, because I knew it was cheap, and I got a job in a restaurant, Bennigan's, washing dishes, and I quickly made my way up the the latter very, very quickly. Um, I worked in a lot of restaurants. Though when I say quickly, I also got fired very quickly in my much younger years, my early 20s. I really didn't hold a job down too much. But I went from a dishwasher to a prep cook to a line cook to a sous chef to an assistant kitchen manager to a kitchen manager to a front of the house manager to a general manager to a regional manager. And then finally, I started getting into the nightclub business. It took me about from 1980 as a dishwasher to running my own nightclub. It took, I think I did that when I was about 27, 28. It took about 10 years to 11 years to go from this to this. There's nowhere to go after you're part owner and all that stuff and general manager. Not much. Um, so when that club was sold and I met Sheila, I decided I want to do something a little different. I always loved acting when I was in high school, and not acting that way, but stand up comedy. Even before stand up comedy was stand up comedy, whatever. I was funny. I was obnoxious, but I was funny. So I decided, let me do this. So let's see how long it'll take me. It took me 10 years to make it from hair to hair. I told you this is a long story. If you don't want to hear it, you got your four types of listening, actually. But I do think this is important. And there is another part about listening to impress. Anyways, I started doing stand up and I started working open mic. And I went from open mic to paying gigs. I got my Screen Actors Guild card because maybe after doing a set, somebody would say, "Hey, we're thinking." Plus, I did my work. I auditioned. I did that for about 3 years before I could actually join the union. Very hard to get in the union, but I'm in there. And I'm still in the Screen Actors Union. It's something to be proud of. It's a lot of work. So from that, I started doing some acting jobs. And once again, I worked I would do free ones. Then I would do only paid extra work through union. And then I would take free speaking parts. So, but at one point, I decided to write a screenplay. And because I started seeing that's kind of where the real creative stuff comes in. So I made a screenplay. It did pretty good, man. Out of 10,000 entries in the first green light, which was a thing HBO did, it got it to number 28 out of 10,000. I had Jimmy Gandolfini. You might know him as James Gandolfini. He signed on to be one of the characters. He was a big shot when Sopranos was out. He's dead now. He was my friend, but he was also pretty professional. So like he would have signed on to. It was some good stuff. Uh, for reasons I wouldn't change the script. That didn't sell, but it put me out there, and it was out there. People knew I was writing screenplays, but and I did a few commercials. I think my most I made during those years, was I think I had one thing for maybe $64,000. Which, listen, making $64,000 a year acting, I'll take it. But um, I started losing my hair, a little bit, and people kind of knew I wasn't going to change my scripts no matter how much they offered me. So I decided to start making my own movies. But they weren't movies; they were videos. But I purchased a lot of equipment, and I made a couple shorts and sent them out to festivals, and I won one festival, but it was a small little festival. Anyways, let's get to the point. The point is Dean and Derek. Wow, this is a long story, isn't it? Dean and Derek, friends of mine. I helped Dean. I didn't hire the people for the club in 1990. The other managers hired them. But I see this guy carrying up a bus tub on the first night. This guy was gorgeous. He looked like John Travolta. And he's carrying ice. And I said, "Come here." I said, what do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a bar back." I said, "No, look at you. No, you're behind the bar. You're a bartender." And he went, "I don't know how to bartend." I said, "You know how to pour vodka and cranberry?" Back then there weren't. I mean, there were, but nobody was drinking that. The cosmopolitans were the toughest drink. I said, "Get back there. You'll learn in a second." Dean came up to me about a week later and said, "Mark, you saved my life." I said, "How's that?" He said, "I was going to be kicked out of my apartment." He lived on Bleecker Street. I owed 3 months back rent. He said, "The first night I worked here, I made $280 in tips. Then you gave me that private party, and the tips was $350 because I gave the whole tips for parties to the bartenders and wait staff. I wouldn't keep any. Oh, why should I? But others do." Anyways, make a long story short, this guy made about $4,000 in 2 weeks, and he was in hack for $3,000. So he paid all his bills, made $1,000. We became good friends, such good friends that when his goofy cousin from Massachusetts came named Derek, I gave Derek a job, and Derek was able to do quite well. Well, when the club ended and we sold it, I quit the business, and Dean and Derek went on to bartend in other places. They were both actors, by the way, awful actors, but actors, and they did about as much work as I did. Um, but they, like me, were getting older. So, about 2004, I was at the age of 42. Um, my money making acting now, that wasn't anywhere near $64,000 a year. In fact, one year I think I made $800, which means I had to do something else. I didn't want a career, so I bartended. I waited tables. So at this time, I was waiting tables at a place, and I would tie on my apron at the age of 42. By the way, this was, oh, I wish I had some pictures. I don't, but I got pictures with me and Whitney Houston. I was there. Now I'm waiting tables, but that's okay. That's my culture. You know what? An honest day's work. I don't need that kind of hype. In fact, I didn't want that kind of hype. I just want to wait tables, but it's pretty depressing waiting tables at the age of 42 when you have a 22-year-old guy yelling at you. So things were kind of bad, and I was wondering what to do with my life. And I get a call from Dean. Dean and Derek both, they sucked as actors, so they had to go back up to Massachusetts because they, like me, nobody wants to hire a 42-year-old. We were all around the same age, 42-year-old bartender. So they did quarry work. They worked in a quarry and they did stones. They love stone work up there. So they would work, they would make like a stone fence outside, a stone fireplace, a stone wall, stone steps, beautiful stuff. So they said, "Hey, Mark, why don't we put together a show?" And these kind of shows was just starting to happen. Well, they've been out about 5 years. Let's do a show about stonework and doing people's properties and stuff like that. So I gathered all my gear and I said, you know what? I know what the public wants. So I started studying these shows like on HGTV, do it yourself projects. And I saw the way the hosts were and all that. And I said, I'm going to sell out. I'm going to make it exactly what I know the networks want. So I went up there, I filmed it, I came back down. Dean and Derek were the two guys I used. So I think they made like a stone garden. So they made a little stone wall for a garden, put a few gnomes in there and stuff like that. So I came home and it was garbage. It was garbage. I went back up there. I redesigned the whole thing. I fed them some lines. I made Derek the serious guy, Dean the jokester. I used everything I knew. I gave a real good formulated thing. And I came home and wow, I was up to 5 packs of cigarettes a day. I was smoking. I was editing the film. Uh, it was something, but I loved it. I'm going to sell this thing. But I don't like. I went through that screenplay stuff. I did the acting stuff. I did the stand up comedy stuff for 3 years, full time stand up comedy. I've heard promises. Dean and Derek, here it is. I've got 3 episodes. Go sell it. So what that means is you go to a network and you're the production company. So we're not asking to work for you. How would you like to buy an episode that we made? We've got for our first season 10 episodes. We'll sell them to you for $30,000 each, and we'll get 300,000. Now it only took us. Let's make this simple. It only took us $100,000 to make, but we're going to sell that whole stack to them for 300,000, which means we make $200,000, which divided between three is around $65,000 a year. I'm happy with that. And we could do it. And if we do a real good job, we'll give that second season. That's when they're going to pay. I thought we had a real good show, and we did. So I told Dean and Derek, I want no part of this. Go sell it. So Dean calls me up one day, and he says, "Listen, this guy from HGTV called the president." I was like, "The president of HGTV?" Yeah, he says he really liked our stuff, and he thought he would give us a call and let us know why he won't use it. They're turning more to lifestyle rather than do-it-yourself projects. I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And Dean said, "I don't know." I said, "Give me the guy's number." Now, by the way, I did everything. I did the editing. They did the stonework, but I was director, writer, editor, sound, everything. I made it. That's my baby. So give me this. So they patched me through to the president of HDTV. He's like, "Yeah, I really love it." Blah blah blah. I said, "Well, what should I do with this?" He said, "My buddy is opening up a new network called the DIY Network. Uh, can I send it to him?" I said, "Can you send it to him?" "Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sir." About 2 weeks later, Dean calls me and Derek's on the phone. And they say, "Mark, we got some news." I said, "Bad news?" And they said, "Well, it's hard to say." I said, "All right, give it to me." Well, they said that they liked the show. In fact, they love the show. But they have a show that they're trying to do just like that. So they're going to hire me and Derek for their show. By the way, remember, I'm waiting tables. I'm 42 years old and I'm strapping on my apron, making sure I have my wine opener and my three pens. I'm 42 years old, I'm waiting tables. They got a phone call that for something I've been dreaming about for 10 years. I said, well, they want you for the show, guys. No, no, they stole our show. They don't have a show like this. They don't want to buy the show from our production company. So what they're doing is they're going to take all of our show and they're going to. By the way, the name of the show I gave was the Stone Guys because they work with Stone. The Stone Guys. I said they're going to take the Stone Guys and make it into the same show but with a different thing. And where does this leave me? Am I the director? They said, well, um, they didn't really say anything about it. I said, well, tell them no. And they said, well, we already said yes. I said, what do you mean? Well, they flew you out. I'm an actor. I got my screen actor. It's my dream to be flown out to have a meeting with some TV executive. You were flown out. And yeah, so we already accepted. We signed contracts and all. And I said, well, once again, where does this leave me? Now, I'll never forget what Dean said. Mark, have you ever considered of going to film school? Why should I? The tape I made got you guys jobs. Let me tell you something. Those two guys, good old Dean, who I saved his life, Derek, I gave a job to. These two guys screwed me. And guess what? The next day, Sunday brunch. Sunday brunch. If you're a waiter, the worst shit. Guess what? Put on the apron, put on my wine opener. I was fired within about 2 hours because some other waiter took my apron and I put him up against the wall. Um, and I had to have people restrain me. That's how, these guys. I'm a 42-year-old waiter. Well, you took my baby and you screwed me, man. And I shouted it. I shouted it to everybody. These guys screwed me. I don't. This is not. They. If this. Ooh, if this wasn't on video, I would be cursing, which I did. They screwed me. What do you think people told me? Yeah, you guessed it. Oh, that's okay. You'll do other projects. Oh, that's okay. They'll get theirs. Oh, that's okay. You can come up with something else. Oh, don't worry about them, Mark. You're better off without them. Not one person, including Sheila, said to me, this is the response I needed. Oh my God. Are you serious? Those guys screwed you. Oh, how could you not be driving up to Massachusetts right now to kill them? Oh my God. Oh, that sucks. Nobody told me that sucks. They told me things would get better. Because God forbid you tell me, even though I'm saying this sucks, well, we think we're not supposed to tell somebody, oh, yeah, that does suck. Yeah, that does suck. How about agreeing with me? Because if you don't agree with me in the state of mind I'm at, then you don't believe me. So here I am around the house, getting fired from jobs, going crazy. Uh, and not once did I have anybody, including Sheila, say to me, not one person went, wow, you got ripped off, dude. Sheila thought she was saying the right stuff. Oh, Mark, you'll be okay. You got me. Yeah, I got you. But I want that. I don't know what stopped me. I unzipped my suitcase and unpacked. Thank God. And 15 more years later, and here we go. By the way, that name, if you think I'm kidding you, the name is called Rock Solid. That was my show, the Stone Guys. They made it Rock Solid. And yeah, it came on. You can find it. They're canceled now. But I think they went about 6 seasons. Would have made us $2 million in 6 seasons. Uh, But Dean and Derek, they're yeah, you could see them on there. Rock Solid. Look it up. It was on the DIY network, so you can just see that the story. I'm true, and they mine was better. They flipped it around. They made Derek the funny guy, Dean the smart guy. Anyways, but yeah, that's what empathetic listening. I could have it could have ended the relationship. I was packed. I was ready to go because I thought that my girlfriend either didn't love me, didn't believe what I was saying, or didn't care. And after a while, me going, I got ripped off. Pretty soon, she never said it, but it's kind of like, all right, quit crying about it. Well, I'm crying about it because nobody agreed with me the first place. So that's my empathetic listening story. By the way, um, after about a month of guess what I did? Uh, I remember it quite. It was in September when they screwed me. It was in October when I good, and it was in November that I signed up for BMCC, and that's it. That's how great Sheila was. I sat there and said, if I had to do it over, I would become an English teacher, a high school English teacher. And she said, go do it. Ha! So here I am. All right, let's hit this last story now, and then we're done. I'm keeping this under an hour, like I said I would. All right. What time is it? Oh my God, none of these clocks work. Oh, my computer clock works. It's 11:02. All right, here's my last story, guys. This goes back to well, it doesn't go back to anything. This is this is a golden ticket. What I'm giving you. Um, we asked what good listening was when I started this. Good listening isn't what we said it was. Eye contact, not interrupting, staying focused. That's what's expected. So, what is good listening? Good listening is this. Margalie is a great woman. Margalie is what some people might call our administrative assistant. Um, I call her God. Margalie runs this. She's not the chair. She's not a teacher, though she does teach and she teaches well. But she sits at the front desk of our department and makes sure that's what she does. She's good at it, man. Everybody walks in and they say, "Hi, Margalie. How are you? Did I get any mail? Do I have any?" Hi, Marley. How are you? They don't even wait to hear how she's doing when they leave for the weekend. Bye, Marley. Have a good weekend. When I walk by Marley at the end of the weekend, I say to her, so, you got any plans for the weekend? And whether she says, nope, I'm just going to sit at home and rest, or if she says, yeah, I'm going skiing in the Alps, I said, great, have a good time. I listened. I listened to what she was going to do. But here's your secret to good listening. I took that bit of information and I put it in my memory and I held on to it. I put it in my pocket. So I could have talked to her for a lot of stuff. And at the end, what are you doing over the weekend? I'm either going to rest or go ski the Alps. Great. I take that bit of information, just that little bit, put it in my pocket. on Monday when everybody comes back to work. Hi, Marbley. How was your weekend? Good, great. Did I get any mail? I walk up to Marbley. What do I ask her? I don't ask her how her weekend is. I say right to her. Hi, Marbley. Were you able to rest? Did you get the rest you wanted? Or, oh, Marbley, did you go skiing in the Alps? How was it? Oh my God, I can't believe you remember. Yeah, I remember. Uh, I wish I would have known this little. By the way, we have 148 adjuncts at full time. We only have 38 full timers. I'm one of them. But I know Marv Lee doesn't call them all, but I'm kind of absent minded about things, about administrative things, about teaching them not, about what I have to do. But administratively, I am. So Marv Lee calls me to remind me that I have a meeting on Wednesday, a regular department meeting where 148 people can attend. She calls me to make sure that I remembered. Why does she do that? You be the judge. But I think it's because Marv Lee knows I listen to her. Now, that could be manipulation or it could be genuine. In the case of me and Marv Lee, it's genuine. But in the case of salesmen and saleswomen, salespeople, manipulation. They talk to you and they say, "Oh yeah, okay, Brian has a son, 8 years old. Okay, and they have a son, Brian, and a daughter, Karen, who's 6. Brian's 8. Okay, now they call. Uh, yeah, this is Michael Scott at Dunder Mifflin Paper Sales. Hey, yeah, good to see you again. Hey, before we start talking about paper sales, how's Brian? Yeah, well, what is he now? 8 years? He's got to be going on 9, right? Yep, he's 8 going on 9. Yeah, and Karen, how's she doing? She's what, first grade? 6 years old. It's first grade still, right? Yeah. By the time I get to sell, hey, you want to buy my paper? Yeah. Geez, you're part of the family. You're my friend. How does this work? How can you use this to manipulate? Not manipulate, impress. Well, you manipulate, you can do it, but you might do it sincerely, like me and Marv Lee. You might do it. Now, I found this out before I ever even before I taught this course. I didn't know about this listening thing yet, but I had just started. I think I didn't do any masters yet. I was at Hunter College at the time. So here we go. I I got out of the businesses I was in, and I had to find new friends. The nightclub business and even actors, they're not exactly the friends I needed at the time. Later on, we'll talk about friends. I think with self esteem, we talked very little about it. I wanted to seek out nurturing friends. I was now determined to be a teacher. I couldn't have friends. I didn't need friends who were just, I don't know, still talking about how many dates they had that week or how much they drank or what fights they got into. I can't do that, man. I need a good friend. And as we sit on our first floor, we get to watch people walking in and out of our apartment building. And there was one guy in particular. He was a little bit older than me, probably by about 5 to 7 years. But he, everybody called him Professor. He was actually a professor at CUNY. And I told Sheila, I said, you know what? See that? That's the kind of guy I want to be friends with. That's the kind of guy I should get to know. And how do we get to have people be our friends? Well, we try to impress them where they want to be our friends. Hey, guys, I could save you so much trouble in life. I'm like a time traveler coming back to you. I hope. I hope. Maybe you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but I hope you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to impress this guy to be my friend. Ready? So I see him walk in, and I walk out of the apartment, my apartment, and we have a lobby, and then you got the mail room, and then you got the elevators. So he goes in the mail room, and even though I had gotten the mail, I went in there and pretended I was getting the mail. I said, "Professor," I said, "Yeah." I said, "Hi." I said, "My name's Mark Janis." I said, "I hear you are a professor at CUNY." He goes, "Yeah." I said, and he's got his mail, and he starts walking back towards the elevator. I said, "You know what? I go to BMCC." And he said, "Oh, yeah, it's part of the CUNY system. I teach at City College." I said, "Great." I said, "Yeah, I love it." I said, "In fact, I just started. I'm only a freshman right now." And he gets on the elevators. I said, "Not only that, but I did it in a year and a half, and I ended up being the valedictorian." He said, "Oh, that's good." And the elevator door shut, and he went up. And I went, that didn't go that well. I wonder why he wasn't impressed that I did 2 years of college in a year and a half, and that I was look at my hair, man, and that I was valedictorian. Uh, so I see him about 2 weeks, about a week later, and he's in the room, and I go in there. I'm like, oh, hey, professor. He goes, oh, hi. I said, yeah. I said, I'm at Hunter right now. Do you ever teach at Hunter? And he said, no, no. I said, yeah, I'm actually doing a double major over there, psychology and English. And it's really something. He's walking back to the elevator. And I said, yeah. I said, and then after that, I'm all ready to take my master's degree. He went, oh, that's good. And the elevator's door shut, and up he went. And I said, I've tried to impress him by saying this. I try to impress him by saying, man, this guy just doesn't want to be my friend. So about a week later, I see him. He's in the mailroom. I walk in. I'm like, "Hey, professor!" Now he doesn't even look. He's like, "Hey, hey, hey!" And he starts walking. He starts walking real fast to the elevator. But I see he's carrying 3 books: The Idiot's Guide to Speaking Spanish, Spanish Verbs, and something else about conversational Spanish. So he's about to go on the elevator, but he's got to wait because it's on another floor. So I said, "Oh, professor, you're studying Spanish?" And he said, "Yeah." And he was facing the elevator. I said, "Really? Why?" He said, "Well, my son had got married to a woman who lives in the Dominican Republic, and she's coming here to visit, and I want to be able to speak Spanish to her." So I said, "Great." The elevator came on, and he got on. And I said, "Do you know I'm pretty much have spoken a lot of Spanish?" And he went, "Yeah, that's good." And the elevator doors went, and up he went. I go away a lot, and that summer I went away. I told you guys I lived down south during the uh, summer months and the winter break. So I hadn't seen him in about 3 months, and then I got back in September, and who's there at the mailroom? The professor. So I said, "Hey, professor," and he started walking right to the elevator. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Good, good." And he tried to be nice. "How was your summer?" I said, "It was good." And the elevator doors opened, and he got on. I said, "Professor, real quick, how did that go with your son's daughter from the Dominican Republic? Were you able to speak Spanish? Did those books work?" And he put his foot to stop the elevator doors, and he went, "Yeah, that's the look. That's the look I was looking for to impress him." Hell, I gave him my graduated college in a year and a half, my 2 year college in a year and a half, nothing. I told him that I was a valedictorian, nothing. I think I told him about my acting stuff. I told him about Hunter and how I was going to grad, but nothing. But when I asked him something I remembered from 3 months ago, I got that look. And he stepped out of the elevator and went, I'm sorry, what was your name again? I went, "Mark." He goes, "Mark, I don't believe you." And I think he touched me on the arm. He said, "I don't believe you remembered that." And I was about to say, "Yes, I have a photographic." I said, "Yeah, okay, but how was it? Did you?" And then it dawned on me, wow. And I started messing around with that. I would listen to what people say, try to get a little tidbit to it, put it into my pocket. Everything else they said, I forgot. But that one little tidbit, I would take in my pocket and keep it. And then when I saw them next, I would say, "Hey, how was ba 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 ba?" That's good listening, guys. That is how you impress people with listening. Nobody is impressed by what you've done. Not too many people. Professionals who have to hire you, and some are impressed, but mainly people who don't know you, don't know your credentials, don't know about you, um, who haven't spent time with you. When you go there and you try to impress them about talking about yourself, it does not work. When you leave the, "Oh my God, you guys know what happened to me? I just won the funniest restaurant worker ever. Yeah, I won this contest. It was great. I won $100 in 2 nights. Oh, this is great. Okay, see you guys later. What do you think that my friends say? You think they say, "Oh my God, we're so happy for Mark. Look at him. God, I hope pennies from heaven fall on him. Don't hurt him. Uh, what a guy. What a guy. We're so impressed." If you think that, that's there is a direct correlation between your interpersonal skills and the quality of your life. So there we go. The quality of my life enhanced because of my listening skills. I stumbled upon it accidentally. You guys get it, man. I had to find gold just tripping over it. And I got cactus burns and birds pooped on me in the desert. You guys, I'm handing it right to you. You don't have to go. I don't want you to have cactus needles or birds pooping on your head. That's it, man. Try it. Try it. If you want, post it what you did on you know what? You could post the comments too if you want for participation, but not about me. I mean, by the way, thanks so much. A lot of you guys are going, thank you for the videos. This is my job. This is my job. But if you want to actually try something like that, you can type in the comments, hey, dude, I just tried that. What happened was let me know how it works or if you've ever tried it before. All right. Oh, by the way, yes, we did become good friends. He died a year later, which is another lesson. Yeah, it was remarkable. We go to Washington Square Park a couple of times. He played guitar. I'm musical. Uh, we had plans to start playing tennis together, and then he got something. They gave him 3 months to live, and that's all he had was 3 months to live. So we don't want to waste time, man. All right, you guys got some good information. I'm on 57 minutes with no pauses. All right, no assignment this week. Enjoy.